Hey everybody, welcome back to another Culz Top 10. This one's a bit impromptu, definitely not the one I thought I was making today, but with the awesome series that just came out, I knew I had to talk about it in some fashion. That series is Prehistoric Planet on Apple Plus. It's a really cool 5-part mini-series that looks at Earth about 66 million years ago. While it tells the dinosaurs' stories, it's more like a nature documentary like you would expect with like Blue Planet or Planet Earth. It is narrated by David Attenborough, has lots of scientific consultants, one of which is Darren Naish. For me personally, it almost brought me back to that mindset I had as a kid watching Walking with Dinosaurs. So, without further wait, let's get into the top 10 favorite designs I had of the animals within the series. So I'll give you a couple honorable mentions. We talked about Triceratops, looked really cool. Carnotaurus, it showed it doing the mating ritual and had the blue arms and stuff I thought was cool. And then the Mosasaurus was another one that would probably be like number 12 for me. But number 11 would have been like Dinosaurus, just barely missed the top 10. And while it is one of my favorite dinosaurs and definitely one that I don't think the wider public knows about, so it was definitely nice to see it represented. It just didn't have a big part, so compared to the other ones, just barely missed the top 10. So coming in at number 10 is the Pachyrhinosaurus from the Polar episode. So this one just edges out the Dinosaurus for the 10th spot on the list. While it's not that kind of lesser known species, it's just one that's definitely represented a lot better within the Prehistoric Planet. I mean, in some of the documentaries you see it in, it has this giant nasal horn. And so, again, just fantastic design, excellent detail. There's some close-ups that's like, is that animatronic? Like, that's how good some of the CGI with the Pachyrhinosaurus is. Plus, you kind of see that family dynamic. You see the younger bulls being told off by the big bull that's, leading the herd. And the colorations, it looks so natural, but there's still that vibrant coloring on the frill. And then again, it has some of these quills, which we've seen on other dinosaurs like Psittacosaurus. So I would definitely say really good job. It does kind of go out a little easy in that hunt scene. But, it's a mass appeal show. We can't be too violent. But definitely worth number 10. Alright, coming in at number 9 is the Quetzalcoatlus. So this one is not a dinosaur, so that's why I didn't say top 10 dinosaurs, top 10 animals. It's obviously a pterosaur, which, yes, is part of the Archosaur, a bigger family tree, but it's not a dinosaur. And this one is getting some love as of recent because it's also in Jurassic World Dominion. Now, the Dominion one has brighter colors with that blue and yellow. This one is kind of like a brown or a gray, which it's a female, so perhaps they're inspired by like birds and stuff today, where, the male birds are more brightly colored or have display structures. In this series, you see this one making a nest, laying eggs. It has to protect it, but unfortunately does have to eat at the same time, and that's when another female comes in and wrecks the nest, and then you see them fighting, which is super cool. Something that they really aren't shown before is just like interacting with each other, I guess, because in other documentaries where you've probably seen them, like say when dinosaurs roamed America, they were really known as a scavenger. And then Walking with Dinosaurs is a very small part, so it was neat to see them. But I will say that kind of montage of it trying to find a good position to sleep while watching the nest was hilarious enough to make the list. Continuing on is number 8, the Dreadnoughtus. So we go from one Jurassic World debut to another, as the Dreadnoughtus again appears in Jurassic World Dominion and here in Prehistoric Planet. You actually see quite a few of the crossovers. Much like the Quetzalcoatlus, much more scientifically accurate design, and honestly I think it's a better coloration. The males are this bright, kind of vibrant red going up their neck, or red-orange, and then they got those air sacs for display structures, and just how they're depicted. Usually you see them as fodder in these type of documentaries. Say if it's Jurassic, the Allosaurus are just like tearing through the herds, or if it's in the Cretaceous, depending on when the documentary was made, it's Maposaurus attacking Argentinosaurus, or if it's an older documentary, it is Giganotosaurus attacking Argentinosaurus. So luckily, none of that here. They're just the males wandering to the mating ground, and then they fight within each other, fight to the death. And that's something you really don't see depicted in paleo documentaries. Is the herbivores can be just as aggressive as the theropods, if not more so. You look at today's world, some of what people would classify as the most dangerous animals, like say hippopotamuses, elephants, rhinos, or even cassowaries, or old herbivores. Number 7, the Nanuqsaurus. This one you probably have seen in other documentaries or even kind of movies based on the polar regions. But usually it's called like a Gorgosaurus or sometimes a Daspletosaurus. And that's before they really got its classification, was properly described as a Nucsaurus. And just to see the design, like it looked, again, one of the more realistic looking designs as far as when it was on screen. Up close, it was like, is that animatronic or CGI? Like, the CGI is getting that good. It does have that good, kind of more of a bulky Tyrannosaur head instead of like a smaller, how it used to be depicted, like kind of thin snout. It has more of a blocky head. And to see them kind of cooperating with each other, not quite hunting in packs, but because the environment has gotten so harsh, the snow's getting so harsh, they're going to work together to try to bring down one and feed each other. And there is some, especially with Tyrannosaurs, we see like Albertosaurus is a big one, where there might be some proof that some of the Tyrannosaurs at least lived at some point together. The Nanuqsaurus I actually didn't expect to make it on the list, so that was a hidden gem for me for this series. Alright, number 6 is going to be the Tyrannosaurus. Even if you've just seen the trailers, you've seen just how beautiful this thing looks. It's definitely by far the most accurate Tyrannosaurus yet put on film. Plus in this one we see it doing a lot of things that we don't usually see in documentaries. We see this one crossing between these small coastal islands with its young. One gets picked off by the Mosasaurus. But yeah, this father Tyrannosaurus had smelled a dead Archelon and they go over and scavenge off of it. But don't worry, it's not depicted as a scavenger, it's depicted like most modern carnivores where, yes, it will hunt and kill, but at the same time, if it's a free meal, it's a free meal. They ain't going to pass it up because it's a lot easier and safer than hunting live prey. But in another episode, you do see a Tyrannosaurus had attacked and killed a Triceratops. And this is when they go into like some of the mating displays under the throat. It showed it kind of doing like almost like alligators do. That low like rumble, if you've ever seen alligators in the water where they have the water dancing on their backs. And it did show this one missing part of its tail, which actually is a real fossil. So that was kind of cool. But yeah, just to see this big beastly T-Rex. Because if you've seen Sue, especially since they put the Australia back on, you can see Tyrannosaurs are huge, big barrel-chested animals. So number 5, the Corythoraptor. For me, this one was definitely a hidden gem. A little bit like the Nanuqsaurus. So the Chrytharaptor is this bright, very beautiful blue look and color, and to me looked very reminiscent that they took some inspiration from maybe a cassowary, which if you know me, that's one of my favorite living animals today. And so for me that was super cool just to see that implemented in a dinosaur design. The helmet, the crest that they had, again, very reminiscent of the cassowary. Obviously they both had it, but just how it looked, the design, the cracking. Once they got close up with the face, you kind of even saw like those little what looked like eyelashes. And so just super fantastic design. It's not really in the series for very long, but it had to make my top 10. Coming in at number 4, the Troodontid. So yes, I did say Troodontid instead of Troodon, because Troodon had become what is known as a wastebasket taxon. They were kind of just throwing any similar animal into the name of Troodon. So it's almost a dubious genus now. And they have gone in, studied the Troodontids better, and they've broken up some of the better preserved specimens into new genuses and species. And so Troodontids are still a thing. It's just one of the more famous dinosaurs might have been a dubious genus, because the original material was scant little teeth, so it's hard to really base a species off of them. But overall, this design was really cool, and the behavior is what's going to get this one in the top 5. Now, we'll kind of go into the design a little bit. It did look to be a little bit more vibrant. It is living in a forest during a forest fire though, so it's a little bit dark, smoky, hazy type of environment, but it still has those cool crown of feathers, kind of like what you would see like for a monkey-eating eagle per se. And it has those big eyes, which it's using to full purpose in this scene, because obviously it's dark, it's smoky, and it's trying to hunt at the same time. And I think that's what's cool about this one, is we see it using the forest fire to its advantage. It actually picks up some sticks with flame on it to smoke out some mammalian prey. And for me, that behavior itself and just the awesome design got it super high up on the list. Alright, coming in at number 3, the Mononycus. So this one, if you've looked at it, looks very much like a barn owl. Besides the coloration, it also has those facial discs, and it was helping the Mononycus kind of zone in on its prey. Like just getting that sound, determining which direction it was going, because it was trying to hunt in the very harsh, arid desert. And so once it did find little big grubs, it was on that log. It looked very bird-like in all its movements, but it was using that one claw to try to dig in, and then they got on its face, which was kind of cute. And later you saw it kind of scamper around the water hole. I wish we had more of this one, actually, to be fair. I think if we had more, it might have been my number one. Like, it's close. These next three are hard because they're all so very good. And it comes down to, like, what did they do? How different are they than what we've seen before? But yeah, this one, I think the top three by far are just head and shoulders above the rest. Number 2, the Hatzegopteryx. So this one does jump above the Quetzalcoatlus as far as where it places for a pterosaur, because the coloration and just the design was fantastic. It's more brightly colored and the coloration's more complex, we'll say. It's almost like a zebra giraffe type of hybrid coloration going on there. And just to see it stalking the forest. For those of you who don't know, Hatzegopteryx was the main predator of the Hatzeg Island environments, where the dinosaurs have evolved smaller. We have seen this kind of like on Dinosaur Planet. Pod's travels, where he goes to like the island, all the dinosaurs are smaller than what he's used to. But yeah, the Hatzegopteryx had become the main predator of these small dinosaurs. And to see it just walking around through the forest, just looking really menacing, but at the same time gracile and beautiful. Coloration, detail, again, fantastic. Like I said, these top three are just amazing. And we do see it pick off a few dinosaurs, and then at the end it just spreads its wings and flies away into the sunset. And number 1, the Velociraptor. So this one by far is the one I've thought about most since I watched the series. It was in 2 episodes, and the desert episode is more akin to what we're used to seeing a Velociraptor do, patrol these desert areas. Lots of sand around it. It does come across a Tarbosaurus, which just being lazy and sleeping because they have fed. And it's hunting for these lizards. And if you've watched some of the extras, it said why they kind of did that, because you see Harris hawks using each other to flush out lizards today. But the scene that really got me was when the Velociraptors are hunting the pterosaurs on the cliffs. And there was one shot with the pterosaur squawking, and you kind of saw it hiding behind like a boulder face. And it was just like almost like you can imagine that being a snow leopard or a leopard at all. And then just like how the female and the 2 males got down there, where they're using their wings to slowly flutter down some of the drop-offs to get to an area where they could kind of slink along, get up close to the nests. And then she jumps, gets one, rolls down the hill, loses it, jumps down again, gets it, and runs off. Now, I'm not going to badmouth Jurassic Park for their design. Again, it wasn't really supposed to be the species Mongoliensis. It was supposed to be Deinonychus. What I will say is, while it's not the first feathered Velociraptor in paleomedia, I know we've seen it in Dinosaur Planet, but this one just much better feather placement, the wings, just how much feathers, and again, that behavior just was so different than what I think people are going to be used to seeing. Again, it was very snow leopard-like. And so for me, an easy number 1, the Velociraptor. Alright guys, I hope you've enjoyed this top 10 based on Prehistoric Planet. If you haven't seen that series, please go check it out. It's really good and I highly recommend it. If you guys want to see like more of a breakdown on the episodes, definitely let me know in the comments below. I'm more than happy to dig into each and every episode and really talk about it, because it was a really good series. So if you've enjoyed this Culz top 10 and want to see more, I know we're doing a ton on the different designs in the Jurassic franchise, click the link over here. If you want to see more about what we're doing here at Culz Paranormal, click that link right over here. And don't forget to hit that like and give us a subscribe. And let us know if you've seen Prehistoric Planet, what was your favorite animal design in this series?